welcome. I believe we are live. Thanks everyone for coming in, and welcome to the Nightmare Tenant YouTube launch stream party thing, which is a very succinct name that I made up right on the spur of the moment. I just want to say thanks to everyone for coming in. It's nice to see you all. I'm going to just put this up. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, that's it. I think that's it. That's good enough. Oh dear. So anyway, I'm Richard. It's nice to see you all, and just a little bit of an intro from me before we get on to our exclusive surprise guests who none of you know about. Aren't I sneaky? So I'm an author from South London. I write science fiction, I write dystopian, I write thrillers, and I apparently now write horror. Well, some of my work has been described as horrific, so I'll take that as I can. And we are here to celebrate the launch of Nightmare Tenant, my new horror novella. Isn't that wonderful? Look at it right there. So let's talk a bit about it first. Nightmare Tenant is set in a haunted tower block in an unnamed British city. If anyone tells you it's London, they're lying, because I never actually say it in the book. And the tower has been recently refurbished, because before it was an abandoned ruin that not even the vandals targeted with their tags and scrolls. You can see I'm really down with the kids. Talk about vandalism and graffiti and hip hop and things like that. Newly done up, new families move in and make the tower their home again. But they weren't alone. A mysterious tenant from the 1970s never left and has been woken up. And the dark force that he embodies tried to warn the residents to leave, but they didn't take any notice. Oh, they didn't do that. But they don't listen. So more arrive, some good people, some bad people, some in-betweeners. Never actually seen that show, God forbid. And the warnings turn to torment from this mysterious tenant. The story is focused on Joel Barton and his family. He's like a sort of everyday, cool guy, because why not? And they arrive just as things start going wrong, eventually culminating in a confrontation. And escaping with their lives means defeating a Nightmare Tenant. This was written from September to December 2020, and it's 200 pages in length. So that's a little bit about it. So I'm very excited to share it with you with the world right now, so you can go and have a look. So without further ado, let's introduce the lovely duopoly that I am blessed to be with today. So I'll press this magical button. Ooh, all that flash. So coming in first, we have the lovely Hannah Palmer's here. She is a thriller author from the south of England. Her debut novel, Number 47, was published in 2019. And now, read this, really good. I suggest you read it too. It's a really creepy, claustrophobic thriller. It's got hints of misery, which is one of my favourite books. The book is an honorary member of my one-day book club. I started it at 11 o'clock at night, fell asleep, then read the whole thing, essentially, the next day. So it goes in there, even though it's not technically in there. So let's say hello to Hannah.
Hello.
Is there anything else I need to say, or anything else you need to say about that wonderful introduction that I didn't write a little while ago?
No, you did. That's a far better introduction than I would have given myself.
Thank you. I think we're all very hard on ourselves like that. And so tell us, Hannah, what are you working on at the moment?
I am finishing up some edits on a horror novel, actually. That should hopefully be out in the summer.
This summer 2021, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's really exciting. Looking forward, because your book, Number 47, was so good. Like, whew. I can only describe it in those kind of like unintelligible sounds. Like, whew, it's really good. Definitely one that sort of grabs you, and you just can't stop reading. I just literally burned through that in like an afternoon. Just wanted to know what happened at the end, and that I won't spoil it for anyone, obviously, but the twist at the end, it was like.
That was the aim. I wish it was as to write it as it was for you to read it.
I suppose you knew how it was going to end, though, didn't you?
No, I had 3 endings, and I didn't know which one I was going to go with.
Oh, you could have had like some deleted scenes there. It could have been like a choose your own adventure to go to this page.
Yes.
Who does them anymore?
Go to page 21 to stab a troll with a sword. Absolutely.
Oh, that's good. So let's go back to the thing. So our next and final wonderful guest to complete the trio of terror that is on YouTube tonight is It is Martin LeJeune, who is an author / writer from Bristol in the UK. His short story, This Postbox Has a Time Hole in It, was an honourable mention in Kensham's last short story contest, the full title of which I didn't write down, and don't expect me to wing that off the top of my head. Martin, let's go over to you. Hello.
Hello. Good
How are we
evening,
doing?
Richard? Yeah, good.
So what are you working on at the moment?
I'm currently working on the first book in a science fiction trilogy, currently under the title Project Gibraltar.
Ooh, that sounds rocky.
I see what you did there. There's plenty of monkey business, let me assure you.
I'm actually looking forward. That's going to be like a science fiction space opera, if I do recall correctly.
Yes,
Quite
sort of
big,
Babylon 5 meets The Expanse.
but British.
Sort of.
That's good.
I'm not
Plenty of
sure
flags.
nation states really exist at that point.
It's good enough. That's good enough. Okay, thank you, Martin. It's nice to have you here. So I'm going to go back to this amazing thing. So this evening we have. Well, first of all, I want to start off with some honourable mentions of people who really made my book possible. So let's do that now. Ooh, flashy. Apologies in the audience if I haven't seen your comments. They are coming very soon. You know, I've only got one pair of eyes, but let's talk about some of the people who really helped me with this book. So I want to start with my beta readers. Ooh, Victoria, Bethany, Cheryl, Dan, Kent. I think it's all of them. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. They sent in some really good notes and, you know, very good support. So thanks to all of those guys. I also now want to thank my ARC readers who are busy beavering away with my book, Too Many Bees. And they are currently reading it and they're going to post some lovely reviews, I hope, because I do recall the PayPal transactions going through, so they're better. Let's see who they are. Oh, Hannah Palmer, Colin Clark, and Charlotte Dodd. What wonderful people. One of whom is here, so I have to be nice to them. But there's also two other people who I think do deserve some special thanks. Apart from everyone in the audience who's watching, how lovely, but I want to just do a shout out to Chris Kenny, who's been very supportive. And also, oh God, it's Martin LeJeune again. He's been very a good and wise counsel when it comes to all things design. He had nothing to do with this background at all, he will hasten to add. So thanks those guys. So before we get into the audience chat, let's talk about the book a bit more, shall we? I am going to move this thing over here. Ooh, there we are. Martin is reading it, that's really good. And Hannah was reading it earlier. Wonderful.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yep. I actually don't have any of it. It's currently winging its way through the post. But as if the excitement couldn't get any more, well, exciting, let's talk about something exciting. Ooh. So there is a really good opportunity for those who, you know, want to support me and, you know, fancy getting hold of some of that sweet, sweet, lovely stuff. Is that I am running a giveaway of some exclusive, wonderful merch. And you can start off by being in the running to get, ooh, an A3 print of the cover art signed by me. That's not my actual handwriting. I wish it was that neat, but it's just like an illustration of what we're going to be doing. It's not just an A3 print you could be getting. You could also be doing a signed and unsellable, because I would have written all over it, copy of the actual paperback. How amazing. So the question is, how do you
Is
get
that your
these
actual
goodies?
staircase?
Yeah, he lives in Croydon.
Well, well, I don't live in Croydon, thank God. I was born in Croydon, which is, you know, bad enough. So
Are you
how do
doing
we
that
get-
thing where you say something outrageous so the Croydon Examiner is like, author slags off Croydon?
Well,
and
it
mentions
wouldn't
your book?
be the first time. Yeah, it's what we're getting into the national press, isn't it? Or the local press, I think national, and some really horrible. So the question is, before we get into the fun stuff, is how do we get hold of these goodies? Because everyone likes goodies. 4 simple things that you have to do to take part in my launch, which you don't have to do, but it'd be nice, wouldn't it? Is That's what's on offer. I've got 2 paperbacks and 5 posters, which will be scrawled on by me, so you get my unintelligible scribbles. And all you have to do is send an email to me with your full name, email address, social security number, no, it's fine, credit card information, even better, no, maybe not, proof of your order, so just like a screenshot of your order page on Amazon. There will be other non-evil retailers coming soon, but you know, it's what it is, isn't it? And in addition, so tell me if you've bought the Kindle or the ebook or the paperback, and you send that to me at that email address there, because I don't want none of your spam going to my real email address. Got to look after that, it's bad enough. If you send it to me by April the 30th, you'll be in for a draw. I won't actually be putting you in a drawer. I mean, I wouldn't fit you in a drawer unless I sort of chopped you up and put you into a bin bag, but that could be arranged.
If you want his real email address, it's mummysbraveboy@richardholiday.co.uk.
I mean, that's one of my real addresses. Yeah. But yeah, if you want to get in the loop for some of that sweet merch, I'm trying to tell you it's sweet because I believe it's sweet, and that's what you have to do. But let's go and talk to the audience. So we're going to go and press this button here because he's totally rehearsed this. Ooh, should we do that? No, that's better because then you can see the print behind it. Here is the print. Doesn't it look nice? And you could get one of them that I've written on. Why would you want that? Perfect for your toilet wall or your inside of your shed, or you know where the washing machine goes. You know, just shove it in there. So let's see how we are doing. We have got Martin LeJeune's here. We know that. Cheryl is complimenting me on my shirt. Well, it's nice that someone did, because Martin certainly didn't. So my good friend Alex is there. There's just a Lacey. No, there's not plurals. There's not multiples. There's just one. We have Mark's here. Ooh, nice you to join us. Dan's here. Dan is the fantabulous author of Displaced. Buy this. I'm in trouble now. And we've got the lovely Rosie's here. Typical housing market stress. Oh, geez. It's not that bad. Mark likes the balloons. Someone does. See, Martin, you were wrong when you said we needed to talk about branding, because we do. We talk about how wonderful my branding is. Kent's here. It's nice to see Kent. But his face does scare me in that picture. It's literally terrifying. Dan is complimenting me on my flashy stuff. It does distract from this, because no one wants to look at that. Bethany is saying hi from the car. I hope she's not driving. That'd be quite bad. Be very worrying. Kent's here. Okay, got Bethany saying hi to everyone. Guests, feel free to talk amongst yourselves. Oh, got a compliment for number 47. Where's that? There. What a book. Okay. Oh. It does look really good, so you know. It looks good, it reads well, but that's really good. Barrett's here. Hi Barrett, nice to see you here. Nice for you to make your yourself known from all the way over on the other side of the pond, which is quite an ironic term for an ocean. All this animated font makes me think there's going to be a pop quiz soon. I was very tempted to put a pop quiz in. I was going to ask Bethany to be part of the stream, and I would have put some sort of quiz in about words that American people get wrong. Aluminium. That's how it's said. And there's no Americans here to argue with me. So
they do spell it differently, though.
They spell it what? Sorry?
They do spell it differently, which is why they say it.
But they spell oregano the same. They call it oregano.
Oregano.
Oh, just, what the hell? It's terrible. Why don't you read an excerpt? That's a very good question that I'm now going to get rid of.
Me and Martin can read an excerpt.
I think that would be a really good idea. Sam's here. It's always nice. My turn. Oh, I wouldn't even put it in the. I wouldn't even put it on the wall. Put it in the bloody toilet. Who was your favourite character to write? Was it Beth? Well, Beth's are always my favourite characters to write. So, do we want to read an excerpt then? If you guys want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, Martin was reading the prologue earlier.
Yeah, the prologue.
Let's do that. Yeah, it's not spoilery, is it? Or is it? I should probably get this up, to be honest. So, we've got the prologue up.
Yes.
Excellent. I'm also getting this up. And we'll press this button. Oh, there we are. We're back. Right. So, who wants to start? I think we should start with ladies first.
Let me get there first. Hang on.
Thank you. That's fine. I will let you navigate to it.
Let's get back to it.
So Prologue is Through the Keyhole. Are all the chapters named after game shows?
There's a few. Martin, you're showing your age there a little bit. I do think
It's probably been rebooted.
British.
it's probably been rebooted with like Rylan.
I'm googling it.
She's googling it. She's going to find out if Through the Keyhole is going to be. That was like a classic sort of daytime telly British thing. But no, they're not all named after game shows, but they do have some punerific titles to the acts. So, who wants to start with the prologue?
Yeah. How much do you want me to read of it?
Can read until I say stop.
Okay.
Okay, see you in through 40 chapters then.
Yay. I've got nothing on tomorrow, that's fine.
Richard, this seems to have gone up on Audible overnight.
Yeah, hang on a minute.
I'm just getting you to record my audiobook now. Oh dear, no.
Any mistakes?
Hey, I've only got one chance at this and you have to get it right. I mean, I have done an audiobook and I did an audiobook on some friends of mine, little short story, Oranges and Lemons. It's on my YouTube channel. Don't click away now. Watch it afterwards. That was good fun. That took about sort of three days. Hang on. Before we start, we do have some more comments. I live quite near to Croydon. Thank you, Gary. I'm not really going to give my postal address to the public. Anyone who notices who subscribes to my newsletter, which you should do, there it is. You may notice that I don't actually put my street address at the bottom of my newsletter. I put a made-up address. Because I do not want you people. I don't want legions of fans turning up at my house. I don't think there's enough parking here for that.
So, if you want to get Richard kicked off his newsletter, just report that to his
fraudulent address.
Yes.
Please don't do that, because I have lots of fun with the newsletter. Ken is saying schizophrenia.
That's what he's writing about.
Yikes! I thought there was a mission there. I mean, that would.
Which personality?
Paper is a journey of self-discovery. I was writing a paper, or as we call it in Britain, an essay. Crazy Americans. Okay, so the lovely Hannah. Do you want to do the first little bit of the prologue?
Okay. Through the keyhole. The halogen work light burned across the duty landing, surrounded by the gloom of a wintry evening. Motes of dust hung like fireflies in the harsh glare. Jamie slurped on a pallid, lukewarm cup of tea as his mates swung their hammers at the brown concrete. Don't you sit there drinking a brew while we do all the hard work? Jason, one of the other lads, breathed between swings. This shit's hard, and it was your idea to stay late. Nah, mate, Jamie retorted, putting the chip mug down. Jason paused, leaning the sledgehammer against the wall. Jamie approached. You three took too long fannying around at lunch. That's the best Britishism.
Thank you, I just made it up.
Come on then, give it here. Have it, man, Jason said. That shit's rock hard. Should have used a heavy metal. Look, Jamie gasped, pulling the hammer up with a swing. This is how you do it. The hammer came round like a pendulum, the head contacting the old blockwork with a booming thud that dislodged a cloud of ancient concrete dust. In the uneven light, it sparkled light blue before disappearing. The hammer fell to the floor with a metallic ting. Want me to keep going?
Martin, take over.
Take the mic.
See, said Jamie. Cracked it. Let's get it down then. Once you break through, it's easy.
It's Jamie Northern now.
The lads picked up their sledgehammers with a renewed sense of purpose and eagerness. They'd been trying to get this wall down for the whole day. For most of the afternoon, the brick hadn't bowed yet. Somehow, way past the normal clocking off time, it decided to give in a cloud of dust. It decided to give in a cloud of dust.
Thank you. Anna, take over.
Oh,
So this is
given us characters before we started doing this.
This is the most awkward audio reading ever, isn't it?
Whoever laid those bricks didn't intend them to come down ever again. One of the others, Steve-O, heaved. The wall quickly crumbled into ruins that piled at the foot of the gaping opening. Behind the brick facade was torn brown paper that hung off old sticky tape, ripped in places where the falling bricks and swimming hammerheads had nicked it. Well, Nabil crowed. What's all that behind it? Jamie laughed.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to carry on.
Go on.
To the paper, which gave no resistance to a firm tug. Let's pull it back and see.
Martin.
The paper tore loudly and folded over the broken bricks. Steve-O grabbed the work light and swung it round. It illuminated a series of cracked glazed tiles in teal and white arranged in some geometric pattern, resembling stylized arrowheads, wedges, chevrons. Nabil croaked. What was it the boss said about the original features? Jamie scoffed. Look at it. They'll want to redo all this. Look, the tile is all cracked and filthy.
Ooh.
Are you sure that wasn't us? Steve-O ventured. You saw how much swing those bricks took. Look, does it matter? Let's clean up and get out of here. We've done the day's work. We'll get paid tomorrow, and it's a weekend with the missus for me.
I just want to say it's not that kind of book before we wonder where this is going.
Let's just leave it there.
I think we should. So,
I just want to say to Kent Sean, this is why you can't just always record your own audiobook and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like a little taste of where we're going. So we've got these guys on the building side, but something creepy going on. I mean, I have to say, as you know, as someone who tries to avoid building sites like the plague, and trying to write that dialogue was quite. It was interesting. It was good fun. It was good fun because, you know, again, building sites, might break a nail or something going there. It's not a big fan, but it's good fun. Good fun. Sometimes it's kind of good to get your hands dirty and write something a bit out of your sort of comfort zone. But yeah. So what happens to these guys? Well, there's only one way to find out.
What's your research process like?
For this, I was quite interesting because I think the trouble with this particular section is I don't really know that much about building sites, and it's really hard, especially at the moment, to really research how a building site operates because you can't really just sort of walk onto one and say, I want to record how you guys talk, without them sort of looking at you and then calling the police. Because so you just kind of, I think you just kind of soak it up from your own experience. I mean, obviously we've been around people like that before. You do encounter them. I mean, I worked in retail for 10 years, so you see all sorts. So you kind of soak in a lot of that experience. So that's kind of like possibly how I got into that. But does that answer your question, Martin?
Yes.
Good, thank you. Ken has a comment. If I had to diagnose Hannah's MC at number 47, it would be schizophrenia for sure. For Richard, delusional disorder. I thought he was diagnosing my main character, not me. But he's actually. Go to hell. So, we've got that started. Right. Has anyone in the audience got any questions so far? Hannah, do you have any questions so far? Oh.
No. Oh, you just put me on the spot.
I'm very sorry.
What's the weirdest thing that you had to research for the novel?
I think for one of the characters, we kind of go for. I was talking to Cheryl, who's one of my beta readers, who wanted to know more about one of the characters, and I had to basically start researching Hindu Guardians of the Galaxy. It's kind of important to the plot. So I had to do a little bit of research about that, and it's not really something you can kind of, you have to kind of sort of wing it a little bit. That was kind of fun because it does kind of play into near the end of the book. I don't want to give any spoilers to anyone, but that was certainly one of the weirdest things that's turned up in my Google search history for this anyway. The rest of it, couldn't possibly comment. It's probably a bit. I think that's the thing with writing a book is you end up Googling some really weird things, and that's absolutely fine. I think it's unhealthy if you don't end up Googling weird things, as long as you don't cross the line from weird to illegal. That's an important line not to cross. I mean,
you just might have to explain some things to GCHQ.
That's it, because they're always listening. Yeah. Gary has a question. Why did I decide on this subject? Well, that's quite a good question. That kind of, I think, sort of factors into inspiration, because everyone wants to know what inspired me to write this turgid mess. It's kind of weird. I read a while back, I borrowed from the library, High Rise by J.G. Ballard, which is a sort of, a book about sort of like a tower block and the society crumbles. And unfortunately, I found it really unsatisfying because it had a lot of really good concepts. But then it just totally, nothing happened. I was waiting for the big fight scene, like, visceral, like, it could have easily been like a sort of, a Croyd version, like Battle Royale, something like that, like the Hunger Games go full on, like, at each other's throats. But nothing seemed to happen. So I kind of thought that could have been done better. Then I watched, yeah, go on.
Are you saying that J.G. Ballard doesn't follow the 5 points of the story?
I certainly do not want to comment at all about 5 commandments of story, because I will get shouted at by something very scary. So basically, to sort of follow with that question is, I end up thinking I could have done this a lot better, because I think tower blocks, especially in the UK, they kind of lend themselves really well to like dystopian / spooky feeling as settings, because in the UK they're not really regarded as a success. There's a lot of sort of social problems. So this is really right pickings for an author to kind of, insert their own kind of take on it. And I kind of thought, it's a bit of a classic story of a haunted house, but with a slightly modern / old twist. Does that answer your question, Martin and Gary?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Ken has a question. How did I choose the title? Oh, this actually took me a while, because I had some really terrible working titles. I called it the Blocky Horror Picture Show, Tower Block of Horrors. All of those I could not have possibly published it under, he said. And then I remember I was watching some really terrible Channel 5 TV one night, or like a sort of on demand, I don't know, there's nothing on. And I was watching that program, Nightmare Tenant, Slum Landlords. That's great. Popcorn telly, to be honest. That's great to watch. I could see Hannah's not impressed. I thought, no. Nightmare Tenant. I thought, ping, there's the title. So
how did you come up with a title? I stole it from something on Channel 5.
I was inspired by something I saw on Channel 5 and used it to it just really summed up. It was a nice punchy title. I think it sums up the book and sums up the sort of the premise of the book. And I was really pleased with it. I think what do we think of the title? Do you think I could have done better or worse?
No, I think it's good. I think it's good for the genre too. Makes it really obvious what genre it is.
Yes, yeah, I think that was it too. I did look on Amazon as well. Are there any books called Nightmare Tenant? It wasn't. I thought, oh, this is going to be quite good for my.
I mean, you could have gone with Tenement of Terror.
Let's see, that's not bad. It's a little bit hackneyed, a little bit, perhaps. The thing is, titles are usually really difficult to do, because you just think, the thing that happened, but you kind of don't want to go into that formulaic thing where you just say the thing of this or the this of that. It's really difficult. I mean, number 47, to take Hannah's book, that's a really good title. I hope you didn't get sued by Heinz Ketchup for that. Oh no, it's 57, isn't it? 57. But it kind of just draws you in. It's nice, punchy. It's not too long. It's not like, I think with the title, you've got to kind of draw that line between saying what it is and kind of having a little bit of mystique and, spookiness.
I think the title was the last thing I came up with before I sent off the brief for the cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
very last minute.
Yeah, it was very But I think there's a feeling when you think of the title, it suddenly clicks. You suddenly think, oh, this is going to be really good now.
I find
usually comes quite late.
Titles are either the first thing or the last thing.
I think that's it. For quite a lot of the book, it's either like, document 2 or, random. For a while, it was Halloween story, because this was actually supposed to be a Halloween short story published last year. Whoops. It just kind of grew and grew like this sort of monster. But I'm really pleased with it, so I think it's come out really well. Let's see who else we've got. Cheryl says, I'm really glad the Hindu Marvel heroine has a starring, well-researched role now. Thank you. That's good fun. I think you made some really good points about improving that particular character. I hope this is encouraging you all to read it, thinking, Hindu Guardian of the Galaxy, what is going on? Gary says, I gave a good answer. Well, I'm pleased about that. Cheryl asks, who is your favourite character to write other than the Hindu Marvel goddess? Well, when you put it like that, I'm trying to think, that was the best character. That was like a really surprising character, I think. And I don't want to give any spoilers for you two if you haven't read the whole thing yet. So I will wait if there's a spoiler, then I'm not going to spoil it. I think there is another kind of sort of yuppie character who you can kind of tell is supposed to be a bit of a shit. He was good fun. It's good fun to write villains and shitty characters. They're so satisfying, aren't they?
Villains are the best.
I mean, the protagonist in this, I can just tell you enjoyed every second of writing her, because she is nuts. She's like nutty as a fruitcake, and it's great to read.
Yeah, she was done.
You kind of want to see how low is she going to go. It's wonderful. So yeah, I think villains are, funnily enough, probably my favourite characters to write, or villains, or bad characters, or nefarious, or ne'er-do-wells. It's a good word. That ne'er-do-wells has got an apostrophe in it. So that's kind of what I like to do. Gary asks a good question. The cover is great. Who designed it? Well, I wouldn't have had my amazing cover without the lovely Hannah, because I used the same designer. No, you didn't do it. But you pointed me in the direction of the lovely, what was her name? Name's German creative on Fiverr. I think her real name is Les, and she did a fantastic job. I mean, I sent her the sort of my terrible brief / concept, and she just transformed it into this. And it was when I first opened that email saying, here is your cover, I was like the Cheshire Cat. I couldn't believe it. And, I think she did the one for number 47, didn't she, Hannah?
Yeah.
That is a really effective, it's not OTT, but it does seem to fit in with the genre. I mean, you can probably tell that's a horror story, can't you? That's creepy. I mean, she's done a really good job with the sort of like 70s corridor. I was really pleased with it. Fantastic. So really pleased with that. Ben, nice to see you, Ben. I didn't think anyone actually watched Channel 5. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you.
One person does.
Gary's watching it in the background right now. It's even worse. The Tenant of Nightmare. That was so tempting. I was actually tempted to go with the blocky horror picture show, but that would have probably got me sued. Not Martin. Martin's not asked me anything yet. Actually, he's asked me a few questions. Gary has asked, how many characters are in the book, and what do you think is too many characters? Now, this is actually a really interesting point, because I was kind of torn between, is there too many characters or not enough? Turns out some people said both things, because that doesn't help. But I think there's a bit of an ensemble cast in this one. There's enough characters, because the thing is, I perhaps focus on character as more of a secondary thing to plot. Take that as you will. But yeah, no, I think I've got enough characters for a book of this length. I mean, this book is going to be about, how long's Hannah's book? About the same number of pages as mine. I think I had enough characters there too. Because the thing is, if you have too many characters, you run out of things for them to do. I don't know if you have ever experienced this. Martin, have you ever experienced this?
Yes, that is very true.
Mm-hmm,
especially in when you have less runtime to dedicate to each character.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in this, because it was a novella, there's only really room for one kind of like core thread to the thing. So it was kind of difficult to really put, like, I actually had enough story in my outline to probably write this to like a big, long novel, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, because
do you feel that novellas are particularly suited to horror?
Well, I've not really written that much horror, but I do think this kind of allowed me to really concentrate on the core idea, because I could have gone for a nice wander around the story and slowly built up that. This allowed me to kind of really turbocharge that kind of horror, horrorness, if that makes sense. I don't know, Hannah, as a horror author, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it shouldn't really be dependent on the length, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of my favourite horror works are novellas. Shirley Jackson is often very short, Susan Hill, very short. Yeah, I think it can go either way, really.
I think it's good. I think it's definitely on a story by story basis. I mean, I could have written this for another like 40,000 words, but no, I'm kind of glad I focused right on the sort of, I consider this like a glass of Ribena. This one's got a lot of that concentrate at the bottom with very little water, if that makes sense. I don't know if anyone
would make for a good glass of Ribena.
I mean, it would certainly be a challenge to drink. It would certainly be like... But that's good, but that means I'm shocking everyone with every sip, aren't I? Alex is asking, do I plan the plot in full before you start writing, or does it develop as you write? So basically, this is the whole, am I a discovery writer, or do I write by the seat of my bottom, or do I plan in advance? I used to do it, I used to make it up as I go along. Absolutely never, ever doing that again, because that's just a mess. This one I did kind of actually have very helpful, I actually had a spreadsheet. Because of course I did, because I've been attending the Martin LeJeune School of Spreadsheets. It is an excellent course. I had it all planned out in advance, so I knew what happened where, and that really helped me kind of focus on what the story needed. Especially with a book of this length, you really don't have time to go on these random tangents. I mean, after some of my feedback, there's quite a few deleted scenes that will not see the light of day. I mean, I don't think I can do deleted scenes for a book on my website. What am I thinking about? I'll put them in my newsletter. That's good. That's good. It fills that bit. I do plan it all out in advance. And that's actually sometimes the hardest thing, is actually just sort of planning it out, working out what's going to happen, because you might have like a vague idea. It's kind of just sort of putting that into skeleton-like structure. But it's worth doing. Ben says, antagonists are so much more fun to write than protagonists. That is very true. I mean, I didn't really care what happened to my protagonist unless I was waiting to kill them all. But do I? Oh, I might have done that. Who knows? You'll have to read the book, won't you? So Gary has another suggestion, The Tenant of Night. That's the Christmas version. Barrett is on the opposite side of the fence there. He says, I always love writing the protagonist. It's interesting. I think the thing is with my protagonists, they're just there to kind of be abused by the story or the plot. I like making shitty things happen to my characters. I kind of feel that's my job as a writer, is just to give people a shit old time. It's no fun otherwise, is it? I mean, imagine if Jack goes to the market, he sells the cow for the magic beans, and his mum goes, "Oh, that's right." Happily ever after. That's not much of a story, is it? That's a terrible example, isn't it? Laurel's here. Thank you. She seems to have regenerated into a dog, but that's cool. We like that. She got here just in time for the spreadsheet. So that is just, you could say I'm a sellout talking about spreadsheets. No.
These puns, you excel at them.
Oh dear.
Disaster.
Sorry?
I said it was a formula for disaster.
It really was. Well, we all know how much I like formulaic writing, but this takes the biscuit, doesn't it? Oh dear. Has anyone got any more questions? So, how are we all doing?
Why does horror suit you?
Well, I'm quite terrific, aren't I? I don't know. I think it's kind of fun to write those kind of. I'm not really someone who scares easily through writing. Well, I can read a book and think, So I think some of my most favourite stories are stuff like Misery by Stephen King, and that is a real page turner, and he's got a real craft for that, so it's really, really good. So I just think it's fun to write that sort of stuff, to be honest. I just think, because, Hannah, why do you write horrors and thrillers?
Same reason. It's just what I read. It's what I enjoy most.
Yeah, I mean, you write what you know and you write what you like, don't you? So you don't want to write, I mean, I would certainly never, ever write for romance, because, no, it's not what I like to read, to be honest. The only romance I've ever liked to read is this book by Chris Kenny.
I'm currently reading that, alongside yours, and another one.
I've got this to read as well. Ooh. I've got a big pile of books from people who I need to read. Now, I read that one. That was very good.
Mm-hmm.
He's a right troll, And we can't go without. Bottom of the pile is this. Was very good. So yeah, you write what you like, but you write what you know. So it's kind of what gets you into it. Dan has a point. He says, "I love writing the bad stuff, so it makes the good stuff feel much more rewarding." That's very good. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is with antagonists and bad characters, you do not want to write a character who's bad for the sake of being bad, because the sort of moustache swirling kind of, oh, look how evil I am. It's pretty flat. You kind of want to make sure these characters are kind of well-rounded and they have a reason to be shitty. And then they should be like an onion where you unpeel the layers and you slowly cry more and more. Martin has brought in his cat. Who's covered by? There we are. Oh, he's gone now.
Oh, camera shy.
He is. It was covered by Dan's comment. That's better. Gary asks, how do I keep track of all of my reading? Oh, that's quite easy. I use Goodreads to track my reading, or lack of it. I've got to stop following people's reading challenges, because they're just so demotivating. I just read. I think the thing is with Goodreads, I used to do a reading challenge. I stopped doing it a few years ago because I just found it was making me churn through books and making me pick quite ones I knew I was going to like. Got to read it. Oh, right, next one, please. Oh, no, I'm behind. I'm getting stressed out, so I'll stop doing it. I just read. I think reading should always be done for fun. It shouldn't be like a chore. I mean, if reading is a chore, then I don't want to know. If that makes sense. I don't know. How do we all feel about that? Gang, fam, group, posse?
Posse. Yeah, I largely agree with that. I do like throwing in a bit of a classic every now and then.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, I do read quite a lot, though.
I did try the whole thing of, how many books can I read in a year? And suddenly found that my preferences got shorter and shorter. And it's better to actually track your pages read rather than books read.
I think that's better, yeah. That's really interesting. The pages read is kind of interesting. Because the thing is with tracking your reading through something like Goodreads and having like a challenge is it puts you off reading very long books.
I think the point is, though, people who aren't, people who would struggle to read 12 books in a year, it gets them reading. Whereas if you're trying to read 50 or 100 books, it's not really what it's there for.
No, it's fair enough. I had a bit of a love-hate relationship with Goodreads. I ended up stopping the posts to Twitter because they were making me really self-conscious. I just use it as a tool for me to keep track of what I'm reading. If I can follow other people on it, that's kind of like a sort of secondary thing. So I just do what's good for me. I'm not bothered if people look on it, but I don't go publicising it anymore. Cause I just think you shouldn't be getting self-conscious about what you're reading. You should be able to read anything you want. If it goes on there, it goes on there. If it goes on your sort of tally for the year. But I do like stats, which is always nice. If I could download my Goodreads stats as a spreadsheet, I'm pretty sure I would be in heaven or hell, depending on how you want to interpret it. But yeah, it's just a tool for me now, which is really good.
And if you want to use Goodreads to track your reading progress, then help Richard out by clicking Want to Read on Nightmare Tenant and leave him a review.
Thank you, please do, but it's not actually on Goodreads yet. I'm currently working on that.
It's quite bad.
I think the trouble with Goodreads is getting your book on there is a bit, you have to finagle it into working. That's a great word. I love the word finagle.
Yeah, it's quite backwards.
Yeah, it's kind of held together as a website with sticky tape and good intentions.
I dread to think what their back end looks like. Which obviously means the website, not anything rude, Richard.
I dread to think what their back end are, because there's got that whole thing where you want to put a book on your author, you have to put a number of spaces after your name. What the hell is all that about? There's multiples of you.
You have to have the book on there for you to attach yourself to it as an author. You can't do it the other way around.
It's totally Byzantine. I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? I'm just going to wait for my book to turn up on there by itself, as it tends to do. I mean, I had one of my books. Where was it? This is my little short story based on James Herbert's amazing. It was on the wrong Richard Hull. I was like, you bastard, give it to me. It's my book, not his. Dan says, I'm not one for horror, but since meeting you guys, I've been having to read nothing but horror. Dan, you've basically read 2 of my books, so you must be used to horrific writing by now. You know.
When's
I'm not going to apologise. Yeah, where is book 2? Hurry up and get it out of your head and into...
No pressure. Don't stress him out, but would like it.
Okay. Dan, please write it. Please, please, please. Lots of love, these 3 people here. Actually, I don't know how Martin stands on the issue, but I'm going to assume he's supportive of that. Cheryl asks, do you or anyone that watched real TV think there's too much horror or supernatural stuff on Netflix et al? Now, this is going to sound really weird, but I don't really watch TV, so I can't really answer this question. So I'm going to throw it to the lovely Hannah.
I don't watch TV.
You don't watch TV either?
No.
High five.
I do watch Netflix. I mean, I don't know what you're counting as TV. I watch Netflix. That's pretty much it. So, in answer to your question, no.
I suppose it's kind of like easy content in a way, is what Cheryl's getting at. Martin, you watch TV, don't you?
I don't have a television.
You don't have a television, but you have Netflix, don't you?
Yes.
Do you watch anything on Netflix?
I don't really understand how a machine telling you when you're allowed to watch something makes it more real than the ability to pick and choose when you want to watch anything you might want to watch. But that's just me.
It's kind of interesting how we've kind of come full circle between TV being sitting down at a certain time to watch something. Then we've gone to the on-demand kind of era, which you get like YouTube, Netflix. Now we are doing like live streams more and more, but you have to be sat down and watching it at the time to get the most from it. It's interesting.
It's just like we're reinventing the wheel, really.
We are. We're doing a really good job. Barrett says it's good advice about pages read. So it means if you end up reading like The Stand by Stephen King, that's not too bad. I think, tracking by pages is better. I mean, that book terrifies me. It's 1,400 pages.
Oh, I thought you meant it was scary.
I mean, just looking at it, it looks like if it fell off my shelf, it would do me an injury. It's like a house brick. And I remember a friend of mine gifted me a copy, but I don't know where I put it at the moment. It's not on my shelf, because I think my shelf needs propping up from putting that on. And I looked at it and thought, this book is literally about that thick. And you know what's worse about it? It's printed on that sort of really thin Bible paper. It's like, I could blow my nose on this. But, yeah, no, it's a book that seems to just terrify, because it'll take me about 4 months to read. And I'm the sort of person who reads one book at a time, because I just want to focus on one book. I don't want to, I can't really spread myself out, because, getting on, I can only focus on one thing at a time. So, yeah, no, that's kind of funny. I wish he'd split it into like 3 books. That must be a nightmare for their printers as well. I mean, imagine if I tried to do a 1,400-page book on Amazon. Probably never make any money on that. That'd kill me.
Sell it for 20 quid.
I probably would sell it for 20 quid. Martin was going to ask a question then.
Speaking of not making any money, what does success as a writer look like for you?
It's kind of interesting, because are you saying that you as in everyone, or just me?
You as in you, Dickie.
You're so kind. Where's the kick from the stream button? No, actually, I think success for me is I have quite modest goals for my writing. I'd like to sort of, do well enough with my writing to work maybe 3 days a week. That'd be kind of nice. I don't really look for some sort of like literary praise because my work is certainly not worthy of it. I think my ideal goal in terms
Oh,
of
was that
writing-
fishing? No, your writing's good.
Martin, you were never going to say that, were you?
Smooth.
I know I am very, very, very smooth.
Talking about
I
Martin.
think it's kind of funny. My idea of success in my mind, if I saw my book on the shelf in Sainsbury's, I would be pretty chuffed. I mean, I'm a simple man. Little things please me. That would do me. Actually, to be quite honest, getting my book on the shelf in Sainsbury's would be quite difficult because they're very picky about what goes on their shelf. So
No, we can arrange this. Gary, nip down to Sainsbury's in Croydon, leave a copy of his book out for him.
I'll have to do it officially. Right, have we got any more? Barrett's got a good question here. Is there something you would write in a genre that might surprise us?
Well, I thought that erotica you put out really worked.
I wouldn't know where to start writing that. I think that's actually really hard to write, as in writing it well. No pun intended, by the way. No, I think you have to take that seriously to write that well. I mean, let's take for an example Chris's book. I mean, he's a guy who wrote a romance book, which I read in an evening, which I wasn't expecting. That's actually, I don't think I would write a romance book. I'm not sure, actually, a genre that might surprise you. I don't know. Does anything surprise you about me anymore? Barrett says, I didn't have erotica on my bingo. I keep getting challenged to write erotica. I'm not really sure if I should. I mean, there is a passion scene in this that I when I was doing this for university, I had my feedback group reading it in a silent room. And I knew they were going to read that bit. Sitting, it was like waiting for a bomb to go off. And I had 7 people in absolute hysterics. And I'm not going to read that out again because I read that on my last live stream. So, yeah, I don't know. In answer to that question, I think in terms of a writer, I like to be versatile and, don't knock it till you've tried it, I suppose. But I don't think romance is particularly my thing. So I've written science fiction, I've written post-apocalyptic, I've now written horror. I kind of want to write more of dystopian. That's kind of ripe for the pickings. I mean, I have plenty more tower block stories to tell, I think, because there's plenty of different takes on that. You get really bored of, we talk about lifts and, stairs and landings and stuff like that. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question, Barrett, but maybe I'll give erotica a try. I'll have to send it to you. That's not a promise, that's a threat. If I'm not a TV person, what do you do to refill your creative well? Well, geez, everything. So there's these things where people write stories on paper and then you read them. Now, actually, to be quite honest, the reason I am like that is because I kind of feel that there's too much media at the moment. It's very overwhelming. I can't keep up with TV shows. I can't really keep up with movies. Video games I struggle with massively.
Pumping another book into the world.
So I kind of focus on books really, because I think there's a famous quote. I forget who said it. That says every good great writer is a great reader. So I kind of just focus on books. I try to read more and more. So that's how I kind of take inspiration from. But yeah, no, it's just because I just find media overwhelming, which might seem a little bit iconoclastic. What do we all think about that?
Yeah, I just get to the point where I don't want to stare at a screen anymore, so I don't really watch.
I think that's a really good point, because I think watching TV is so passive. isn't it? I mean, when you're reading a book, you literally have to kind of put a little bit of concentration in to kind of, get those ideas off the page. But I think TV is very passive. I mean, I don't want to turn into a big anti-TV rant, but yeah, it just doesn't really do much for me. But yeah, I do prefer just to read a good book, even if it's not a good book, even if it's just like a Stephen King or a Dan Brown or a Lee Child. I call them my literary packets of crisps because you can just read them, think, oh, that was quite good, forget about it, read the next one, just think, oh, this is quite good again. That's kind of like my MO with this whole thing.
I do love a good TV drama or a good sitcom, but I tend to pick and choose what I watch rather than just, see what's on. And I think there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in TV right now, and it's really frustrating when writers say, if you don't have enough time to write, stop watching TV. Why? That's where all the good stories are right now.
I think that's really true. I think you can get inspired by lots of things. So it's certainly not the case that if you're just sitting on the couch watching TV, you're being lazy. You might just be soaking in stories in a different medium. I mean,
well, I think like your TV season now is essentially a movie, whereas your movies have become TV episodes almost, especially in like your mainstream cinema. And it's all inverted.
Yeah, no, I get what you're getting at there. I mean, I do watch sort of YouTube, mainly for non-fiction stuff, like documentaries, stuff about sort of like technology, stuff like that. I find that easier to digest through a video that explains it to you, at my sort of like level. So it's kind of interesting. So for fiction,
especially if they go to all the stations. All of them.
I don't know. Those videos are so relaxing to watch. Hannah's just kind of like thinking, what on earth? I think Martin is talking about Jeff Marshall's railway videos about trains.
Okay. I did a lot of research on YouTube actually about the Tube network in London. So.
Oh, there's some really good videos about it. They're just really nice, chill videos that you can sit back with over your lunch, just kind of watch. But over lunch, I usually watch those clips of Dragon's Den that comes out on YouTube. They're good fun, especially when the business ideas are terrible. Laurel says she tends to watch mostly extremely silly mystery shows on Netflix and other streaming services and reruns of old shows. I guess I'm not in touch with what's new on Netflix. This is the thing I was saying about me, is there's so much coming out, I cannot possibly keep track of this, so I've given up trying. Oh wow, that was synchronized drinking by you two. That was creepy. So yeah, I just can't really keep up. I mean, I am very nostalgia. Give me the early seasons of The Simpsons, of Family Guy, even like Doctor Who and stuff like that. Just I think it's because I'm naturally a little bit conservative with my tastes. If I know I like it, I'm just going to keep to that. But I've been always trying to kind of, branch out a bit, especially with my reading. Especially with my reading, if I'm too sort of, I know what I like, I'll end up just with a shelf of Lee Child and Dan Brown, and I kind of want to branch out. I mean, I have found some really good books, on the cusp, we pick them up on a punt. Some of them haven't worked out, some of them have. It is what it is at the end of the day. I don't know if that makes sense to everyone, but no, it's good. It's kind of good to slowly push out of that comfort zone. Dip your toe very slightly, not just sort of leap in. Barra asked another great question. If you could get any author to write a review blurb for your book, who would you want to do for it? Well, sadly, my favourite author is dead, James Herbert. Oh. He is an author hero. That's a good question, really. I mean, I did ask for my beta readers to give me some blurbs, but no one responded. Okay. Sorry?
Could be J.G. Ballard, right?
Oh, yeah, he'd love this one because it's better than his. It's kind of interesting because a lot of my favourite authors, like Lee Child's quite a good one, he's quite nice. And Michael Crichton is an author. He wrote Jurassic Park and stuff like that. He is an author I have a massive author crush on. I can just devour his books, but he's unfortunately not with us, which is a shame. But I'd love to see him write a review of my book. I could not write a book as amazing as like Jurassic Park, by the way. He manages to sort of put that sort of technological aspect on it in such a way that's so approachable.
What Richard means to say is that he feels the Nightmare Tenant is something that he aspires to give the reader the same emotional, visceral reaction as he experienced reading Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park.
Are there dinosaurs in this book? Did I not realise?
Well, in a manner of speaking, there's dinosaurs. Not actual dinosaurs, but metaphysical dinosaurs. Barrett says again, Hubs and I thought he was talking about wheel hubs for a minute, but okay. Love theatre, plays or musicals, but I find theatre more engaging than TV. I do miss going to a good panto, of which there's no such thing as bad
no,
panto.
you don't.
No.
I think the best panto I've been, I think it was Dick Whittington at Wimbledon Theatre in 2017, I think it was. And it had Tim Vine, who literally just does pun after pun after pun. And
Richard, have you ever met any celebrities?
Yes, Tim Vine. It's a funny story. I used to work in my old job. He lived near to my old job, and then I left that job. And in my new job, he's the patron of the place where I work, so he can't escape from me. Oh, he's so funny. I've been to a few of his sort of like gigs where he's practicing for like Edinburgh, and I'm just in stitches, as you can imagine. Victoria says she read that passion scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then Barrett says we could do a seance. I'm not sure you want to do that. I'm not sure that could end well. He likes what he likes. He really does. Martin should be my publicist. Couldn't afford Martin.
I'm trying, Barrett. He doesn't make it easy.
What, with all the wrong things I come out with that you have to apologise for? Dinosaurs would be Nightmare Tenants. Well, that would be quite interesting. Genetically engineered dinosaurs that discover the ability to reproduce again. What did Martin say? He's just suddenly got highbrow. Well, I will lower the tone.
This coming from the guy who made the film to be screened on 4 monitors at the same time as an art installation.
So funny enough, Gary made a film. What was it called? He Came with Wheels. Again, when we're talking about titles, that one, it's about a disabled escort. Very bizarre, but also very funny, but quite bizarre. And quite explicit as well. Wow. So I think going back to the conversation about titles, that one has to win some sort of award for a punny, witty, and slightly gross title. Can you imagine the floors after the Velociraptors move out? I dread to think it'd be like sort of, groove in the floor. I'd hate to clean up after a Velociraptor. That'd just be a mess. Is that before or after they eat all the humans? Who knows? After they ate Chris Pratt's career.
The point is, you are alive when they start to eat you.
Oh. See, this is the thing when it comes to writing horror. You kind of think of like one thing. But I think with horror, you kind of have to just not go for the body horror and the sort of obvious kind of like, scares. You kind of got to, build up to that, make it make sense in the world, because otherwise I think it's more scary if you do something like that. Like in Hannah's book, there's some really creepy stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure that the protagonist of yours ends up going to Ike and seeing her sort of buying all that stuff for her imagined happy ever after. That is just, there's something really sort of really ominous and odd about that. It's terrifying. It's wonderful.
That was really good fun to write.
Yeah. So if I come to your house, Hannah, and I just see everything is very neatly and brand new, I'm going to be really terrified, aren't I?
No pictures in the frames.
No. I thought they put stock photos in the frames.
Yeah, I just left the stock in there.
Oh. It's those little details, isn't it, that's really good that you notice this often. I hope in my book there are lots of little things that probably don't seem consequential at the time, but then you think, ooh, that's all adding to the pile of horror. So yeah. Oh, Barrett's got another question. What scares you the most? Aging. What scares me the most? I'm not actually a big fan of gore. I mean, I can write gore, but I couldn't be like a sort of, like a surgeon. I'll probably just pass out. What does scare me the most? I don't like falling. That scares me. Wow, I kind of feel this is turning into like a therapy session for Richard. What scares you, Richard? That's quite interesting. That's quite interesting. I don't really have an answer for that. That is such a deep and thoughtful question. I'm sure I'm going to be up all night thinking of all the things that scare me. That kind of makes me think of the Divergent series. Who's read that? Oof, that's going to make this analogy really meaningless, because there's the character 4, and it kind of relates to that. If anyone's read the Divergent series and is looking at Barrett's question, they'll kind of.
I thought you just meant that young adult novels terrify you, and if someone leaves you too close, you scream and run away.
Hey, there's no shame in reading a good YA novel.
I've had some really good ones last year, actually. I don't even think I read YA as a kid. And last year I read them.
Oh, sorry. Went to cat can. What's he looking at?
What's on the ceiling?
He's fine. He's seeing something that scares him on the ceiling. Oh, he's gone now, bless him. Barrett's got another question. I'd have to say, Barrett, you're doing really well with the questions. What character in Nightmare Tenant was the easiest to write and why? So I think there are some really... I think this goes back to our antagonist question. There are some really shocking characters. There's the yuppie kind of, he's all smooth and, he's wealthy and he's no utter shitball. And he was good fun to write because I make bad things happen to him. And in a way, he deserves what happens to him. And that's what we like. We like to see justice in our fiction, don't we? We like to see the right thing. They're saying that Hannah's book, that ending,
Spoiler alert.
I'm not going to spoil it, but it both amused and had my jaw on the floor. I thought, you did not, but you did. You did. No. I think that's kind of good because you subverted what we all expected to happen, which is good. We were waiting for it to happen, and it didn't, and you did well. Laurel says she's only read the first week. Divergent. Oh, that's quite good. It was kind of like the Hunger Games, but a little bit. They changed the colours of the hats, basically. Kind of good fun, though. Hannah, did you read the Hunger Games?
No, but I have read Battle Royale, so I feel like I'm better off.
I need to read that because I remember
So
seeing your thing. It's basically the Hunger Games, but better. So I need to get on that. It's been on my to-read list for years. I need to.
It's chunky.
It's chunky, is it? Not quite The Stand, is it?
No.
No, that's good. Thank God. I think anything could be like The Stand. Barrett has a good question. What about Nightmare Tenant will surprise readers of your previous work? It's actually any good. That might be a surprise. I don't think it's really going to surprise a lot of people who've read what I've written before, especially if they've read my short story. Because it's kind of quite thematically similar, but it's just more advanced. It's kind of like, if I wrote this, with the skill I've got now, it's just, I think they're going to be surprised that I've hopefully made it a lot better. Does that answer your question? I hope it does. I'm scared. I don't know. I don't really go in to surprise my reader. I just kind of write the stories I want to read. And if my readers want to read them, then that's great. If you don't want to read them, then you deserve some kind of horrible punishment for your wrong opinions. Barrett says, Kitty. Talking about Martin's cat again. I feel like Martin's cat is upstaging everyone else here. As a planner, do you ever manage to catch yourself by surprise when you're writing? Yes, because even with the plans for this book took a few twists and turns of its complete own accord, which was kind of really interesting. It went down quite a dark path. I then had to kind of like, come on, here we go, let's get that sorted out. But I think that's the thing about planning. If you plan too much, it becomes painting by numbers. If you don't plan at all, it's like, well, what on earth happens here? So I think I hit the sweet spot with my plans for this one. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? Martin, you seem to have moved slightly.
I'm currently writing the first book of a trilogy, and after laying out the groundwork for the first book, me and my writing partners reconsidered what the villain's long-term motivation is, and I'm currently having to sort of swerve right where I was planning to swerve left, which is getting pretty interesting.
That's good, though. It's good. It's good that you can kind of your plan is like malleable enough to kind of allow you to have these sort of changes of heart. It's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah, is there anything that surprised you about number 47? Because you said you had 3 endings, which is kind of interesting.
I didn't plan number 47 at all. So I
very lucky
the opening scene, and I pretty much just
winged it.
just winged the entire thing.
I think that worked out really well.
Worst thing ever. It was very hard to edit.
I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my first ever novel. I wrote it for NaNoWriMo 2010. It's still a really good idea that I want to work on, but what I came out with was just bad. And I did start editing it, and it's just become a complete mess. I mean, it's one of those things I really want to do it again. It's like a steampunk, alternate history kind of like thriller. I mean, who wouldn't want to read that? Don't say you don't want to read it, because you do. It's coming soon. I think I will revisit it eventually with the skill I've got now. He says he's skilled. So yeah, I mean, that was a learning experience, but yeah, never. That was totally written by the seat of my pants in 30 days, which I wouldn't do again. No chapters, no nothing. It's literally just one continuous thing of text. So kids, don't do that. Don't do that. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Laurel. Barrett was impressed by Laurel's question, as were, I think, all of us. Any other questions? Martin, have you got anything on your mind?
What's your daily writing habit?
That's a really good question. I don't really have daily writing habits. I have more of a weekly kind of thing, because I think it's kind of healthy to be able to have a day off to kind of recharge the old batteries. Yeah, oh, hang on. Barrett is going now. Barrett, it's been so nice having you with so many wonderful questions. I hope I've answered them as best as I can. If you watch the rest of this, I don't think we're going too much longer. I think he wants to do me on a live stream for some questions. I am up for that, because why not? It sounds like fun. Ken had a lot of fun. So yes, thanks for popping in. I will get rid of you now. Thank you. And what were we talking about? Sorry, Martin, we were talking about
What's
daily
your
writing.
writing habits? Yeah.
So I kind of go week to week. I think what I want to accomplish this week for this project, I'm very much a sort of person who does one thing at a time, because I only have that much mental energy.
And you set quarterly goals.
I do set quarterly goals, though. Those keep shifting on my spreadsheet. But it's good. It's good. You know, it's good to have malleability in your schedule. So if something comes up you want to work on, you just slot it in and think, I'll do that. Because I'm having lots of ideas.
Are you aiming for Mill Wordy?
Absolutely, 100%. Cast iron guaranteed. No, I think that's a terrible idea. Hannah is grinning in agreement. I think that's a terrible. I think that just results in churn, really.
I think, yeah, it wouldn't work for me. Nano doesn't really work for me, so Mill Wordy definitely wouldn't work for me.
I can't do Nano anymore. I mean, last year when I was kind of sprinting with the group, that was fun. But God, no, just Nano just sparks my anxiety like there's no big tomorrow. It's just. I think the best quote for this is Stephen King on writing. You know, the first draft of anything should take no longer than a season, which is 3 months. And actually, this book took about 3 months to write. Nightmare Tenant. It was kind of really fun, kind of chilled out, but kind of productive writing. It kind of really hit the kind of sweet spots. I kind of want to write more like that. Yeah, no, that's a kind of like cadence I think I can really kind of get into.
He does say
draft
that.
in 3 months. Sorry?
He does say that. He does say that. He also gets force-fed eggs, so take it as you will.
He also writes 2,000 words before breakfast, which I think is a bit... I think the thing is with setting goals like that is you just have to find what you're comfy with. As long as you can strike that balance between being productive and not being a nervous, stressed out wreck at the end. Because at the end of the day, without making this too much of a writing chat, is that writing should always be fun. Because if you're not having fun, your readers won't have fun reading it. I think if it becomes work, it just becomes a chore. You don't enjoy it, and then you think, "What am I doing this for?" So yeah, I hope that
Look out
question,
for Richard's
Martin.
new book, The Nightmare Tenant. You will have fun reading it.
Thank you. It's too late to amend the cover now, but thank you. Getting all wrapped up in word counts to take away from it. Exactly, yeah. So I actually don't use word counts as my sort of like progress barometer anymore. I use story points. So if I go into a writing session, so when I was writing the book, I was like, I'm going to write this section where this happens. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, it's done. Oh, that's good. It even works on like a weekly basis. So this week I'm going to work on these 3 sections of the book. And then you do that. I kind of think it's more fun to work by story goes, because I think if you boil it all down to word count, it just becomes a numbers game, doesn't it, Martin?
I do like having a word goal that I can go, right, I've hit that. Now I, don't have to worry. But now I've sort of been doing some longer form projects. I am just sort of going, make sure I spend a certain amount of time every day and we're golden.
I think that's it. If you say I'm going to spend a certain amount of time doing it, or I'm going to do these certain plot points, that's much better than just thinking.
I think it depends as well. If you're able to, write full time, then absolutely having a word count to aim for is great. But if you have to, fit your rest of your life and your job around it, then you need to be able to roll the punches a bit more, because I've definitely had days where I know I'm not going to get any good words down, and it's better to recharge my batteries. Yeah,
I mean, I totally agree. Sometimes it's better to take a day or a couple of days off just to kind of let the creative juices brew in the mental kettle. Just kind of think about that. But yeah, and I think you've just got to find a really healthy kind of balance. I mean, I know Ben did a really good video about finding what works for you. But yeah, I think it's trying not to be too dissuaded by these people who say, "Oh, I've written 7,000 words before breakfast," and you're thinking, "I didn't get up till 10:30 this morning. I'm still in my pajamas."
Yeah.
We all have good days and bad days. So I think if you keep like a healthy weekly goal, you can kind of, as long as you kind of get your stuff done. Like for this one, I had goals of, I did the first edit in a month. I did the second edit in 2 weeks, which was stressful. Even though the second edit is a lot easier, but just set a goal that works for you and that has that kind of wiggle room. Does that answer your question, Martin? Does that?
Of course.
Sound good? Good. Thank you, because I've blithered on for long enough. Chat, how are we doing? Say hi. Say hello. Say, greet each other in various different forms, as long as they're in English, because I don't understand other languages. Martin, do you have any more questions? Or does Hannah have any more questions? Hannah's here. I've got to make sure she's asking plenty of questions.
Oh,
I'll put you on the spot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I do have any more questions. Everyone's asked really good questions.
I have to say the questions tonight have been really, really good. So they've been really kind of thought-provoking. I hope I've answered them in a good way, because, Lord knows I probably haven't, but we do what we can, don't we? It's good fun, this.
How many half-finished and unpublished books do you have?
Jesus wept. Where are you getting these questions from, Martin? You're killing me. Actually, I have the only sort of...
You wrote them down for me earlier.
Shush! You're not supposed to tell them that. It's like when I used to be a kid and Pete used to come to the house at Christmas. Oh, it's a lovely Christmas tree you've got there. It's artificial. My mum would be like, Richard, shut up. See, you don't get these weird anecdotes in my newsletter. Thank God. What was the question, Martin, about unfinished novels? So I've got about 3 NaNoWriMos. One of them I did publish briefly, which was a mistake. I had to get rid of that pretty quick because that was another baptism of fire. I've got a folder full. I have to say I've been writing lots of flash fiction and short stories recently, which is good fun. I made Hannah read one of mine. I do recall on Kent's Don't Drink and Lie. That was good fun.
That was fun.
That's really good fun. I have to say, the first time I did that, I didn't really take it very seriously, but then I retried it and I thought, actually, this is really good. So it's good fun. So I've only really got one sort of, novel that's kind of sitting, waiting to be edited. It's my post-apoc adventure novel, The Thaw, which I believe Bethany has read. Martin, you've read it, haven't you?
I've read it, yes.
Thank you. I thought it was very good, didn't you?
Yeah, surprisingly.
That's such a backhanded compliment. Not fair. I know Dan read it. Oh, Dan. What are we going to do with that, Dan? Yeah, that's kind of waiting for me to edit it for the 4th time. I'm actually not sending it to an editor before I send it to agents. That seems like a good way to waste 600 quid. And, I don't like doing that, funnily enough. So that's the only one I've got in the tank, ready to be worked on. The thing is, I kind of don't want to go from editing my novella to editing a novel because I need to get some fresh words down and get the old juices flowing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you just become thinking, oh, editing again. And editing is tough. I think, Hannah, you will confirm that because you're currently doing Run Road In, which is going to be very exciting.
Yeah, it's tough. I hope so.
I mean, if it's anything like number 47, which you said you wrote by the seat of your pants, it's going to be even more amazing.
I did actually plan this one, so that's good. That's a
really
start.
Good. No, it's going to be really good, I think.
Hopefully.
So what's next? Are we looking forward to 2 Nightmare, 2 Tenant?
I definitely want to write another novella because I think this was really good because I managed to get this written, planned, done in about 6 months, which I think is not bad. Whether there's any mileage in the novella format or whether I'm just kind of being a bit of a wimp and not writing a full novel remains to be seen. I definitely think I could do more of this because I've certainly got more stories to tell. I've kind of got more novels to write. I've got lots to write. I've got so many ideas. I just want to get them out there, which is a really good feeling. I mean, I've had dreams where I've woken up thinking, Jesus, web, that was good. I don't. And that rarely happens to me. So it's kind of good in a way because for a long time I was a lot like, I don't want to write something because then I've got one less idea to work on. I can't think of anything else. But it's kind of a good problem to have in a way. So you might see more. I do actually have another tower block-ish story, kind of like the B-side to Nightmare Tenant. It doesn't have any supernatural elements. It's just full on, maybe a bit dystopian, maybe it's just full of really shitty characters doing shitty things to people that don't deserve it.
So autobiographical.
Oh dear! If I wrote my own autobiography, it'd probably fit on a pamphlet. It's like the episode of The Simpsons where Marge writes her CV. She just puts homemaker 1980 to present.
No.
There's nothing there. But yeah, I think there's plenty to come. So I just want to keep writing, really. Even though I do find the idea of starting projects terrifying. That blank page that you stare at. This is kind of why I don't want to just edit stuff. I want to keep starting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't like starting stuff and not finishing it. So it's kind of like a big thing in my mind. But, there's plenty more coming. So I would definitely suggest that you submit yourself to my newsletter because you'll find out all the stuff. Isn't that exciting? Also, for some reason, I forgot to play these. There you go. It's a bit late now, isn't it? We've been going for an hour and a half. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to put Martin's up as well because he gets one as well. If there's any more questions, Laurel has said, Nightmare Tenant, I don't get that.
Oh, come on.
Oh, is that a Fast and the Furious thing?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they cast Vin Diesel in that film is a bit on the nose, don't you think?
They cast him in something
About cars.
genuinely.
I think I watched the first one of those things. I'm not really into cars, funnily enough, but good fun. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be Nightmare Tenant Tokyo Drift. Could do. I'm sure I could bring Godzilla in there somewhere. That's what happens in that film, isn't it?
Yeah, Godzilla hasn't paid his rent and the landlord has to send the bailiffs round.
Exactly what happens.
And it's the landlord King Kong.
Yeah.
Writes itself.
It really does. These things really do write themselves, don't they?
Maybe the Panthers are onto something.
I think they might be. I'm not doing that again, though. Oh, that's stressful. I think if we have run out of questions and everyone is fed up of listening to me, we shall draw this wonderful I mean, it's been really nice to chat to everyone. I hope you're all excited about my book, because I am. I should be after I've written it. So I just want to say thanks to everyone for popping along. If people want to come and support everyone, make sure you follow everyone's links in the description. I'll be updating those before tonight ends. So I've got 3 hours to do that. That's quite good. I can do that in a while. It's 9 o'clock here in the UK, so you know, time zones and stuff. I just want to say a big thanks to everyone for coming along. I want to thank Martin for coming in at very short notice. It's always nice to have a good old chat with you.
Thank you for having me, Dickie.
And I'm going to put him on the full screen. I'm going to say thanks to the amazingly lovely Hannah Palmer, who hopefully doesn't think I am nearly as weird as I am on Discord. Kind of ish. Oh, Ben has got a comment. Author of the... Oh, you crazy cat.
Return of the Revenge of the Nightmare of the Tenant the Second.
You could write a book of just... That would be really, really annoying.
I feel like that's been done. I've had a conversation with someone about that before.
A book of openings. That would be really, that's a really shitty thing to do, because no one will know where the story goes. I'd like to see you write a book of endings, Ben. Here's a challenge to you. I mean,
He's
listen.
not talking about erotica, is he?
It feels like it's something. Book of climax, you know?
I mean, oh dear, Jesus wept. No. Actually, that could be the title for it, Jesus wept. Richard Holliday, the Tower Block book universe. Well, it could be a lot worse, couldn't it? I could not do a Marvel Cinematic Universe for Tower Block books, because I could not pump them out fast enough. That would be a terrible strain on my wrists. Let's just say that. So Laurel says, congratulations on the book. Thank you, Laurel. I hope you enjoy the book in whatever form you get it, if any. No pressure. Oh, look, there it is. That's just the back of your phone, Anna. We didn't actually see what was on it.
Oh, it's too big.
Is that one of those phablet kind of things that were popular way back when?
A what?
A phablet. Oh,
there you go.
Doesn't that look good? Oh, hang on. Hold it up again. Look at your full screen. Ooh.
Here's what you could win if you enter the prize draw, but obviously not on my Kindle.
And you're not in the drawer, are you, Hannah?
No, not that I haven't been asked to be.
I don't. Well, that would involve chopping you up and putting you to bin bags.
No,
Which I don't think we want. No, it doesn't really appeal, does it? So I'm going to say thank you to all these wonderful people. Thank you to Laurel. Thank you to Ben. Thank you to Barrett, who's disappeared. Thanks all for coming along. I am now going to play this thing. Is it still working? Come on, wake up. Ooh. Thank you for watching. So Hannah definitely has the glossy cover. Now this is the thing. We had a conversation. Is the paperbacking glossy or matte? There's only one way to find out, isn't there? And the links are in the description. So on that note, I will bid you all good night and thank you. Oh, hang on, let me just put everyone on the screen so they can wave. Bye. Bye.